Hello friends. Have you ever wondered what happens when the fiery energy of an Aries meets the emotional depth of a Pisces, and both are born in the mystical year of the snake? Today, we're peeling back the layers of one of the most fascinating and paradoxical pairings in the Zodiac and Chinese Zodiac crossover, Aries Snake and Pisces Snake. What does their union look like in love? In marriage? Can they build a business empire, or will it all crumble under their emotional intensity? What are the dark sides no one talks about? Let's take a deep dive into this cosmic compatibility and see whether this duo is destined for stardust or storm clouds. Who are they really? The Aries Snake is an unforgettable force of nature, born from the collision of two powerful energies, Western fire and Eastern wisdom. This individual is not merely bold, they are magnetic, exuding a confidence that doesn't need to shout to be noticed. Their charisma is effortless, the kind that walks into a room and tilts the energy. Aries brings raw power, courage, and a strong instinct to take charge, while the snake adds subtle sophistication, depth, and a laser-focused strategy. They are the type to act quickly, but never blindly. Every impulsive move is quietly backed by a deeper plan. Picture a CEO who skydives on weekends, thrill-seeking yet composed. The Aries Snake thrives on challenge and isn't afraid to stir the waters if it means rising to the top. They're relentless in their pursuits, ambitious to the core, and surprisingly seductive when they choose to be. With the snake's calculating nature fused with Aries fire, this individual always plays to win, but you'll rarely catch them playing at all. They work silently, striking only when the odds are stacked in their favor, yet making it look spontaneous. Underneath their daring surface is a deeply intelligent mind that knows how to anticipate moves before others have made them. They're not just 5 steps ahead, they're already building a new game entirely. Emotionally, the Aries Snake keeps a tight lid on vulnerabilities. They hate being perceived as weak, even when they feel deeply. They're masters of self-control, wearing a mask of confidence even when chaos brews underneath. They're often misunderstood as cold, when in reality, they're protecting their most sensitive layers. Their social circle is usually small but fiercely loyal, and they tend to intimidate more sensitive types with their intensity. Still, those who earn their trust discover a fiercely loyal, protective soul who will stop at nothing for those they love. In every domain, romantic, professional, or personal, the Aries Snake is all in. They do not dabble, they dominate. In stark contrast, the Pisces Snake is a creature of ethereal beauty and quiet power. They exist between worlds, one foot in the material, the other in the mystical. They are complex, layered, and often misunderstood, but that's exactly how they like it. Unlike the overt energy of Aries, the Pisces Snake draws people in with subtle magnetism. They're the person you don't notice at first but can't stop thinking about afterward. Pisces brings compassion, depth, and soulful introspection to the snake's sensual intelligence. Their mind is a watercolor of intuition, emotion, and insight, capable of reading people within minutes, if not seconds. The Pisces Snake is the ultimate emotional strategist, someone who sees the truth others hide, not because they look hard, but because they feel everything. Despite their gentle tone and soft presence, there's a sharp intellect at play. They may not raise their voice, but they will still win the argument, gracefully, almost invisibly. Their influence often goes undetected until it's already shaped the entire room. This is a person who speaks in metaphors, thinks in dreams, and acts with a purpose that isn't always clear to outsiders. Their emotions run deep, oceans beneath a still surface, and their moods can shift like tides. One moment they're affectionate and tender, the next they've disappeared into solitude. But this isn't detachment, it's self-preservation. The Pisces Snake needs time alone to recharge and reflect, or they risk emotional burnout. Their biggest strength is also their biggest vulnerability, empathy. They feel everything so intensely that they often absorb others' pain. Yet, they use this sensitivity as a superpower in art, relationships, and healing. Unlike the Aries Snake who thrives on ambition, the Pisces Snake seeks meaning. They're not chasing status, they're pursuing resonance. Success for them isn't about recognition but about feeling aligned with something greater. They often excel in spiritual, artistic, or humanitarian paths. Yet, don't be fooled by their softness. Underneath lies the cunning of the snake, calculating, persuasive, and capable of turning dreams into reality with the flick of a thought. They're natural shapeshifters, able to adjust to any environment without losing their essence. Socially, they're enigmatic. Everyone wants to know them, but few really do. They form emotional connections selectively and protect their inner world fiercely. At their best, the Pisces snake is a mystical healer, a poetic strategist, and a loving, intuitive companion who elevates those around them just by existing. Together, these two personalities represent the extreme edges of charisma and subtlety, action and emotion, fire and water. The Aries snake is a sunlit sword, bold, direct, unmissable. The Pisces snake is a moonlit mirror, reflective, mysterious, and hauntingly beautiful. Each possesses layers that require time and effort to truly understand. Yet once you do, you realize you're not just dealing with individuals. You're dealing with forces that can build worlds, or quietly unravel them. Love, passion versus depth. When Aries snake and Pisces snake meet, something electric charges the air. It's not just chemistry, it's a cosmic spark, the kind that makes time stop for a second. At first glance, they seem like they were made for each other. Aries snake, with their commanding presence and magnetic aura, immediately captures the Pisces snake's curiosity. This isn't just physical attraction, it's an energetic pull, the meeting of fire and water in a way that doesn't extinguish either but creates steam. Aries is drawn to Pisces' soft strength, the quiet way they move through the world with eyes that seem to see into your soul. Pisces, in turn, is hypnotized by Aries' decisiveness, the fearless way they speak their mind and act with certainty in a world full of doubt. From the very beginning, this is not a mild or gradual connection, it's intense, immediate, and almost otherworldly. Yet, just beneath that magnetic first layer lies a deep complexity that challenges both partners. Aries snake, fueled by their cardinal fire sign and empowered by the shrewd snake nature, desires movement, intensity, and direction. They want to take action, define the relationship, make declarations, and dive in headfirst. Pisces snake, meanwhile, drifts in a more fluid emotional current. They prefer subtlety over directness, emotional resonance over verbal declarations, connection over conquest. This difference becomes a major pivot point in their romantic dynamics. Aries might come in hot, with bold confessions, extravagant dates, and plans for the future, while Pisces silently absorbs it all, feeling deeply but not always saying so. This discrepancy can create misunderstanding. Aries might feel unheard or unreciprocated. Pisces might feel overwhelmed or emotionally bypassed. The fundamental challenge lies in how they express and receive love. Aries snake is the love as action type. They want to do things for their partner, solve problems, make plans, conquer fears. Pisces snake is the love as vibration type. They want to feel things deeply, to swim in the emotional layers between words, to be seen without having to explain. Aries might ask, "Do you love me?" expecting a clear yes. Pisces answers with a look, a lingering touch, a poem whispered into the dark. Unless they learn to translate each other's love language, these two may walk away feeling lonely in a relationship that should feel complete. But when they do learn magic, Aries learns to slow down, not just to wait, but to witness. They begin to value the unspoken, the space between moments, and realize that silence doesn't mean disinterest. Pisces, on the other hand, begins to find their voice, not just in metaphor, but in clarity. They realize that speaking up doesn't diminish the mystery, but deepens the connection. When these two evolve in this way, they become a love story that is both mythic and grounded, like firelight reflected on water, beautiful and impossible to replicate. This relationship also asks both partners to confront what love really means to them. For Aries snake, who is used to leading and getting results, Pisces becomes the first person who teaches them that not everything can be conquered, some things must simply be felt. For Pisces snake, who often gives too much of themselves, Aries teaches the importance of boundaries, of claiming their needs out loud, of showing up fully in the world. Together, they can become emotional alchemists, transforming each other's fears into fuel, insecurities into intimacy. However, this dynamic also carries the potential for heartbreak if not nurtured carefully. Aries' directness can feel like emotional blunt force to Pisces, especially during conflict. Pisces' retreat into introspection can feel like emotional abandonment to Aries, who thrives on open confrontation and resolution. If they don't learn to read these moments correctly, the hurt can fester. Aries may grow impatient, feeling like they're chasing a ghost. Pisces may grow disillusioned, feeling like they're sleeping beside a storm. Communication becomes the lifeline, not just surface-level communication, but brave vulnerability. Saying, "I feel hurt when," instead of, "You never." Saying, "Help me understand," instead of assuming. Only then can these two navigate the maze of their emotional differences. Sexually, their chemistry is an extension of their emotional dance. Aries brings passion, confidence, and an eager drive to please. Pisces brings depth, imagination, and emotional connectivity. Their physical union has the potential to be transcendent, if Aries takes their time and Pisces offers trust. Intimacy becomes the space where they finally speak the same language without needing words. Ultimately, this love requires maturity. Not just emotional awareness, but a willingness to evolve. Aries must resist the urge to lead every moment. Pisces must resist the urge to disappear in their own dreamscape. When they stay present and curious with each other, they unlock a relationship that is both passionate and poetic. In its highest form, the love between Aries Snake and Pisces Snake is a transformative force. Not because it's easy, but because it demands growth. Each partner becomes a mirror for the other's blind spots. Aries learns patience. Pisces learns courage. Aries finds meaning. Pisces finds strength. And together, they craft a love that is not just beautiful, but rare. A wild dance between intensity and serenity, between passion and depth. Marriage, the real test. Marriage between an Aries snake and a Pisces snake is anything but ordinary. From the moment they say, "I do," this union begins to move through a unique rhythm that blends power with tenderness, strategy with surrender. Aries snake enters the marriage with a clear sense of structure and purpose. They are natural leaders, often assuming the role of the decision-maker, protector, and planner. For them, commitment is an arena, a place to build, to grow, to conquer life together. They're the partner who wants to take care of logistics, handle crises, and ensure everything runs efficiently. Their love often shows through actions rather than words, organizing finances, defending their partner, building a future. Aries snake brings heat, focus, and unwavering loyalty to the marriage. They want the relationship to be a stronghold, a fortress against the chaos of the outside world. The Pisces snake, on the other hand, steps into marriage with a dream in their heart. They seek a spiritual bond, a lifelong connection that transcends surface-level partnership. For them, marriage isn't just a shared life, it's a shared soul. Pisces snake brings gentleness, empathy, and emotional depth to the union. They intuit their partner's needs before they're spoken and offer comfort in ways that feel almost psychic. They are the emotional anchor of the household, the one who remembers the little things, who infuses the home with warmth, creativity, and emotional intelligence. They may not lead with authority, but they lead with love. And in doing so, they create a marriage that feels like a sanctuary. However, where Aries snake craves momentum and clarity, Pisces snake often needs time and emotional space. This divergence in pace becomes one of the first real tests of their marriage. Aries may become frustrated by what they perceive as Pisces' emotional fluctuations or need for solitude. They may misinterpret it as withdrawal, moodiness, or lack of interest. The Aries snake, always forward-moving, doesn't like to sit in ambiguity for too long. They want answers, they want action, and they want it now. But Pisces snake is not built for speed. They process emotions slowly, with depth, and often through silence. Their melancholy isn't a sign of rejection, it's often how they recalibrate internally. Unfortunately, unless Aries learns this emotional rhythm, they may start pushing too hard, leading Pisces to retreat even further. On the flip side, Pisces Snake may begin to feel invisible within the marriage. Aries Snake's leadership can sometimes turn into dominance, especially when they forget to consult or emotionally validate their partner. Pisces may start to feel like a passenger in their own life, quietly supporting while their own needs go unnoticed. They might not express this discontent directly. Instead, they may become passive-aggressive, withdrawn, or overly self-sacrificing. Over time, this emotional suppression can become a silent wedge between them. Pisces wants to be cherished, not just loved. They want to be listened to, not just heard. And unless Aries learns to pause and truly check in, emotionally, not just practically, the marriage can begin to feel unbalanced. Communication is the cornerstone that can make or break this union. Aries Snake must learn to slow their inner engine long enough to notice the quieter cues that Pisces offers. They need to resist the urge to fix every emotional moment and instead just hold space for it. Listening without solving, being present without commanding. Meanwhile, Pisces Snake needs to find their voice within the relationship. They must speak their needs, draw boundaries, and risk directness, even if it's uncomfortable. This is not about changing who they are, but about honoring themselves within the partnership. When Pisces steps into their own strength, Aries gains a true partner, not just a supporter. Marriage between these two is not a static institution. It's a living, breathing force that evolves. And while their love may be tested, especially during emotionally heavy seasons, those tests are opportunities for deeper connection. Aries Snake must understand that stability is not only financial or physical, it's also emotional. It's in being the safe harbor, not just the provider. And Pisces Snake must understand that nurturing doesn't mean disappearing. It means standing tall in their sensitivity and trusting that their emotional depth is a gift, not a burden. One of the most beautiful aspects of this marriage is how they can complement each other when in sync. Aries Snake keeps the relationship moving forward with drive, discipline, and determination. Pisces Snake makes sure it's moving in the right direction, aligned with heart, intuition, and purpose. Together, they form a powerful team. Aries builds the structure, Pisces fills it with soul. Aries makes bold moves, Pisces ensures those moves are meaningful. Aries protects the relationship from external threats, Pisces protects it from internal disconnection. But their marriage is not immune to danger. If Aries refuses to soften and Pisces refuses to assert, the imbalance can become too great. Aries may start to feel burdened, unsupported, or emotionally starved. Pisces may feel controlled, unheard, or emotionally depleted. That's when emotional distance begins to widen. Affairs of the heart, whether through escapism, emotional shutdown, or even outside connections, become more likely when communication collapses. The secret to enduring love between them is emotional reciprocity. Aries must be willing to lead from the heart, not just the head. Pisces must be willing to stand firm in truth, not just feeling. When this balance is struck, their marriage becomes something extraordinary. It becomes a marriage that not only survives but evolves, growing deeper, wiser, and more resilient with each passing year. This union, though challenging, has the potential to become one of the most profound experiences in both partners' lives. It pushes Aries to become more emotionally aware and Pisces to become more empowered. It demands growth from both. And when that growth is embraced, their marriage becomes a rare fusion of strength and softness, strategy and spirit, vision and vulnerability. A marriage not just built to last, but built to transform. Sex, fire meets fog. Chemistry between the Aries Snake and Pisces Snake isn't just strong, it's seismic. It doesn't flicker like a spark. It crashes in like a tidal wave, washing over both partners with an intensity that neither fully expects but both instinctively crave. These are two deeply sensual signs, not just in the traditional zodiac but also in the Chinese astrological sense. Snakes are creatures of sensuality, charm, and instinctive magnetism, and when two of them find each other, especially with such different elemental backbones as fire Aries and water Pisces, the result is an erotic paradox, both urgent and slow burning, both physical and metaphysical. There's an almost cinematic tension to the way they approach intimacy, as though the air between them carries a weight that only physical closeness can dissolve. The Aries Snake leads with intensity. They are bold, daring, and curious in bed, constantly chasing the edge of new experiences. Sex for them is an expression of dominance, confidence, and connection all at once. They bring heat, rhythm, and a desire to explore. They aren't afraid to initiate, to take control, to push boundaries in search of ecstasy. They see the bedroom as an extension of their larger worldview, a place where desire should be met with action, where curiosity leads to discovery. But beneath all that physical boldness lies a very real need for validation. The Aries Snake wants to feel wanted, admired, and worshipped, and sex is one of the primary ways they seek that affirmation. The Pisces Snake, in contrast, swims through intimacy like a dream. Their sexuality is fluid, emotional, and intuitive. For them, sex is not simply about touch, it's about merging. It's about dissolving the boundaries between self and other, slipping into a space where time disappears and only emotion remains. They don't rush, they read energy, respond to shifts in tone, wait for the emotional signal before engaging physically. Their approach can feel almost telepathic, as if they know what their partner wants before it's even been said. They bring a poetic sensuality to the experience, layering affection, mystery, and trust into every gesture. The interplay between these two energies creates something rare and captivating. Aries, with their fire and confidence, opens up Pisces' more hidden desires, encouraging them to come forward and take space in their own fantasy. Pisces, with their emotional depth and innate understanding of connection, softens Aries' intensity, turning it into something more tender, more meaningful, and less performative. What results isn't just sex, it's alchemy, a blend of passion and presence, of desire and devotion. It becomes less about technique and more about transformation. But for this sexual connection to fully blossom, emotional safety is non-negotiable. Pisces Snake, though sexually expressive, cannot surrender without trust. They need to feel seen beyond their body, to know that their vulnerability won't be used against them. If Aries moves too fast or too aggressively, Pisces may emotionally withdraw, even if they physically comply. The Pisces Snake doesn't open their soul unless they feel safe, and once that door closes, it takes a lot of patience to reopen. Aries, meanwhile, must feel appreciated and desired. If Pisces becomes too inward or distant during intimacy, Aries may interpret it as disinterest or emotional absence, leading to frustration and even ego bruises. Communication, verbal, physical, and energetic, is the key to navigating their differences. Aries must learn the art of slowing down, not just physically, but emotionally. They must learn to attune to the subtle cues Pisces offers, to understand that sometimes the most powerful moments are found in stillness. Pisces, in turn, must trust their instincts enough to speak up, to name their needs, their fantasies, their discomforts. When both can meet in this space of vulnerability, the bedroom becomes a sanctuary. Not a performance, not a transaction, but a ritual of connection. There's also room here for deep sexual evolution. Aries Snake may begin the relationship as the initiator, the more dominant force. But as trust builds, they might be surprised by the intensity of Pisces Snake's inner fire. Once Pisces feels secure, their sexual confidence blooms in unexpected ways. They begin to direct energy with a quiet command that rivals even Aries' boldness. And in those moments, Aries finds themselves pleasantly unseated, pulled into a dance where they are no longer leading, but surrendering. This back-and-forth exchange of power can be deeply arousing and healing for both. This connection also offers a rare opportunity for healing sexual wounds. The Aries Snake, often accustomed to being desired for their physical strength or commanding presence, finds in Pisces a partner who values the emotional and spiritual layers beneath the body. Pisces offers validation that goes beyond attraction, it's reverence. Likewise, the Pisces Snake, who may have been overlooked or misunderstood in previous connections, finds in Aries a partner who doesn't just want them, they crave all of them, passionately and unapologetically. This mutual affirmation creates space for true sexual intimacy, where both people feel not just wanted, but known. However, challenges can arise if the emotional and sexual currents become misaligned. If Aries focuses too heavily on performance or novelty without emotional presence, Pisces will start to feel used or disconnected. Conversely, if Pisces becomes so emotionally fixated that physical desire becomes infrequent or overly reserved, Aries may begin to feel starved or unwanted. These imbalances don't always appear overnight, but they can build in silence if not addressed. Maintaining a satisfying sexual connection between these two requires ongoing curiosity, play, and emotional honesty. It means asking hard questions. What do you need right now? How can I make you feel safe? Are we still exploring, or are we just repeating? When these questions are asked not from insecurity but from love, the answers deepen the bond rather than threaten it. In its highest form, sex between Aries Snake and Pisces Snake becomes a sacred bridge between two different emotional worlds. Aries brings the fire of now, the hunger, the urgency, the pulse. Pisces brings the fog of forever, the dream, the intuition, the surrender. When combined, they don't cancel each other out. They elevate each other. They create an atmosphere where passion becomes prayer and pleasure becomes transformation. This is not an everyday connection. It is rare, powerful, and when nurtured with care, it becomes unforgettable. A union that leaves both partners not just satisfied, but changed. Friendship, dreamer and doer. The friendship between an Aries snake and a Pisces snake is the kind of connection that unfolds like a layered, emotionally rich film, filled with unexpected twists, mutual growth, and a rhythm that only deepens over time. On the surface, they couldn't be more different. Aries snake is the doer, bold, pragmatic, often the first to leap into action. Pisces snake is the dreamer, introspective, imaginative, and content to let life drift until it reveals its meaning. Yet this contrast is precisely what makes their bond so captivating. Aries provides the muscle, the momentum, the flame that moves things forward. Pisces offers the map of the soul, the emotional compass that makes sure they're heading in a direction that matters. Together, they aren't just friends, they're a force. At the heart of their friendship is a fascinating balance of leadership and support. Aries snake, with their natural command and sharp instincts, often takes the lead in decisions, plans, and adventures. They thrive in motion, energized by goals, results, and new experiences. Pisces snake, by contrast, moves quietly but meaningfully. They're often the one noticing what's unspoken, sensing the undercurrents others miss. Aries can sometimes bulldoze through emotions or bypass nuance, and that's where Pisces steps in, not with confrontation, but with subtle redirection. Friendship, dreamer and doer. The friendship between an Aries snake and a Pisces snake is the kind of connection that unfolds like a layered, emotionally rich film, filled with unexpected twists, mutual growth, and a rhythm that only deepens over time. On the surface, they couldn't be more different. Aries snake is the doer, bold, pragmatic, often the first to leap into action. Pisces snake is the dreamer, introspective, imaginative, and content to let life drift until it reveals its meaning. Yet this contrast is precisely what makes their bond so captivating. Aries provides the muscle, the momentum, the flame that moves things forward. Pisces offers the map of the soul, the emotional compass that makes sure they're heading in a direction that matters. Together, they aren't just friends, they're a force. At the heart of their friendship is a fascinating balance of leadership and support. Aries snake, with their natural command and sharp instincts, often takes the lead in decisions, plans, and adventures. They thrive in motion, energized by goals, results, and new experiences. Pisces snake, by contrast, moves quietly but meaningfully. They're often the one noticing what's unspoken, sensing the undercurrents others miss. Aries can sometimes bulldoze through emotions or bypass nuance, and that's where Pisces steps in, not with confrontation, but with subtle redirection. They help Aries reflect. They bring the heart into Aries's headstrong moments. And Aries, in turn, helps Pisces step out of their comfort zone. They challenge them to take risks, to act on their dreams, to stop waiting for the stars to align and instead create their own constellation. The friendship dynamic here often resembles that of a mentor-mentee or coach-artist, but those roles can reverse depending on context. Aries might push Pisces to start that creative project, pitch that idea, speak their truth. But Pisces will be the one reminding Aries to slow down, to ask why, not just how or when. It's not about one being stronger than the other, it's about strength in different dimensions. Aries rules the external, Pisces, the internal. Aries knows how to win the game. Pisces knows whether the game is even worth playing. This friendship also works because they balance each other's social styles. Aries Snake tends to be outgoing, assertive, and socially dominant. They may draw attention effortlessly, command a room without trying. Pisces Snake is more reserved, but incredibly magnetic in a quieter way. They don't need to speak loudly to be heard. When they're together, Aries often acts as the protector or spokesperson, while Pisces is the secret weapon, observing, understanding, and offering insight at just the right moment. Aries may speak for the team, but Pisces sees for the team. This mutual reliance builds trust over time, forming a kind of unspoken loyalty that doesn't require constant validation. Of course, as with any high-contrast dynamic, challenges do arise. Aries Snake's bluntness can unintentionally hurt Pisces Snake, whose sensitivity is deep and often unspoken. What Aries means as honest feedback, Pisces may absorb as rejection. Aries must learn to speak with softness when needed, to recognize that not all truths need to be delivered like punches. Pisces, meanwhile, has to avoid falling into passive silence. If they retreat too often instead of expressing themselves, resentment can grow beneath their calm surface. Aries may misread this as indifference or lack of loyalty, when it's actually emotional self-protection. Ego can also become a stumbling block if not kept in check. Aries Snake, confident and action-driven, may sometimes feel superior in their decisiveness. They may unintentionally belittle Pisces' more intuitive, roundabout ways of processing. On the flip side, Pisces Snake, while gentle, can become quietly judgmental, assuming a kind of emotional superiority that sees Aries as too brash or shallow. When they fail to recognize each other's strengths, the friendship becomes a quiet battlefield of unmet expectations and unspoken critiques. But when mutual respect is present, this friendship is a marvel of balance. Aries teaches Pisces that action is a form of faith, that doing is sometimes the first step toward believing. Pisces teaches Aries that presence is not passivity, that stillness can be just as powerful as motion. Together, they become collaborators in life's bigger journey, challenging each other to go further, but also to go deeper. They're also incredibly good at supporting each other's dreams. Aries is the friend who'll show up with a plan, a calendar, and a phone call to make it happen. Pisces is the one who'll listen for hours, gently redirect doubts, and remind you why the dream matters in the first place. This makes them an incredible pair for joint projects, especially creative or emotionally driven ones. Aries can push the vision into reality. Pisces ensures that reality doesn't kill the soul of the vision. Their loyalty, once established, runs deep. Aries Snake doesn't trust easily, but when they do, they protect fiercely. Pisces Snake doesn't open up quickly, but when they do, they give wholly. There's a sense of shared secrecy in their friendship, a quiet bond that doesn't need to be displayed on social media or validated by constant attention. They know each other in a way others don't. They communicate in glances, in silences, in intuitions. And when life gets hard, when one is burned out, or grieving, or lost, the other doesn't run. Aries shows up with solutions. Pisces shows up with presence. Both matter, both heal. Over time, their friendship becomes a container for growth. Aries becomes more emotionally intelligent. Pisces becomes more empowered. They begin to borrow pieces of each other, not to change who they are, but to become more whole. Aries learns to ask, "How do you feel?" Pisces learns to say, "Let's do it now." The dreamer becomes more grounded. The doer becomes more soulful. In the end, the Aries Snake and Pisces Snake friendship is a quiet epic. It may not always be loud or dramatic, but it carries a resonance that lasts through decades. It's the kind of friendship where both people evolve just by knowing each other. Where strength is redefined not by dominance or intensity, but by the courage to grow together, even when growing looks completely different for each of them. It's rare, it's real, and when it's nurtured, it's unbreakable. Business, strategy plus intuition equals success? When it comes to building a business together, the Aries Snake and Pisces Snake partnership has the potential to be nothing short of legendary, if, and only if, they can recognize the value of each other's drastically different yet powerfully complementary strengths. This duo has what many dream teams lack: a balance of action and vision, of bold execution and soulful intention. Aries Snake is the quintessential strategist, driven, decisive, and unflinching in the face of risk. They operate like a commander with a blueprint in one hand and a torch in the other, ready to burn through barriers to reach their goals. They're the partner who's up at 5 a.m. with a to-do list, negotiating deals, organizing teams, and asking, "What's next?" every 10 minutes. Their energy is relentless, their ambition nearly inexhaustible, and their appetite for building, scaling, and winning is unmatched. The Pisces Snake, on the other hand, is the visionary mystic. They may not be the first to speak in a boardroom, but when they do, what they say shifts the entire conversation. Their business acumen doesn't lie in numbers or aggressive tactics. It lies in understanding people, anticipating trends before they surface, and sensing what others need before those people even know it themselves. Pisces Snake brings creativity, emotional intelligence, and a rare kind of intuition that gives their business approach a touch of magic. They understand branding on a soulful level. They know how to build stories, how to forge emotional connections with clients, and how to shape a mission-driven narrative that makes the brand feel alive. They don't just want to build something profitable, they want to build something meaningful. Together, this combination can be electric. Aries Snake provides the drive and direction, while Pisces Snake offers vision and depth. Aries gets things done. Pisces makes sure those things matter. Aries pushes deadlines, Pisces pushes purpose. The synergy between them can lead to innovative products, emotionally resonant campaigns, and a leadership style that fuses decisiveness with compassion. When the relationship is built on mutual respect and clearly defined roles, this partnership can evolve into a powerful business dynamic that's not only effective, but inspiring. However, problems can arise when these very strengths become imbalanced. Aries Snake, in their rush to lead and act, can unintentionally bulldoze over Pisces' quieter contributions. They may dominate meetings, override creative decisions, or dismiss Pisces' intuitive warnings as impractical or too soft. This creates a subtle but dangerous power imbalance. Pisces Snake, instead of confronting the issue head-on, might pull back, withdraw emotionally, or continue to work quietly in the background, building silent resentment instead of open dialogue. The result is a passive-aggressive undercurrent that can erode trust and teamwork. What's required is structure, and not just logistical structure, but emotional structure. These two need scheduled check-ins, not just about revenue and timelines, but about how they're working together. They need to talk about boundaries, communication styles, and emotional dynamics. Aries must learn to ask, not assume. Pisces must learn to speak, not just feel. Emotional transparency is not optional, it's critical. If Pisces begins to feel like a passenger in a car driven by Aries at 90 miles an hour, they'll eventually try to jump out. And if Aries feels like they're dragging all the weight alone while Pisces floats in creative abstractions, frustration will boil over fast. Another essential factor is trust. Aries Snake needs to trust that Pisces' insights, though less data-driven and more instinctual, carry value. Pisces sees things in patterns, emotional textures, and future implications that Aries might overlook. Their ideas may come slowly, or wrapped in metaphor, but they are often exactly what the business needs to elevate from good to great. At the same time, Pisces must trust Aries' decision-making speed. Sometimes, Pisces wants to wait for the perfect emotional alignment before acting, but business moves fast. Aries' confidence and quick execution can save the company in moments where hesitation would be fatal. This partnership also benefits from role clarity. Aries Snake is best positioned in roles that require leadership, negotiation, high-stakes decision-making, and strategic expansion. They're the CEO, the pitch master, the growth architect. Pisces Snake thrives in environments where they can shape narrative, aesthetics, culture, and emotional resonance. They're the creative director, the brand strategist, the cultural architect. When they each stay in their lane, but keep communication open, the business flows. If they build a team together, they'll also need to be conscious of how they manage others. Aries might run the team like a military unit, high expectations, fast feedback, performance-driven goals. Pisces, by contrast, is the emotional barometer, sensing team morale, knowing who's burning out, who needs affirmation, and who's hiding behind silence. A business led by these two has the power to become both efficient and empathetic, if they recognize and respect what the other brings to the table. Aries needs to stop seeing Pisces' compassion as weakness. Pisces needs to stop seeing Aries' assertiveness as insensitivity. When viewed through a lens of appreciation rather than competition, these traits form a complete, fully integrated leadership model. Financially, this duo can thrive. Aries Snake understands risk, investments, and market positioning. Pisces Snake understands timing, trends, and long-term resonance. Aries may know when to launch. Pisces knows how to make the launch matter. But again, success depends on honoring both logic and feeling. If one is constantly overriding the other, imbalance is inevitable. And imbalance in business, especially between two emotionally intense personalities, often ends not with dramatic blow-ups, but with subtle disconnection, loss of trust, and eventually, crapse. When they do get it right, though, the results can be breathtaking. The business becomes more than a company. It becomes a movement. Aries crafts the structure, scales the system, and builds the empire. Pisces infuses it with heart, meaning, and a story that customers don't just buy into, they believe in. Employees feel supported not just professionally, but personally. Clients feel seen. Products resonate because they aren't just solutions, they're extensions of a deeper mission. And all of that is made possible because Aries and Pisces, fire and water, action and intuition, dared to co-create. So, can they build a business together? Absolutely, but only if they build their relationship alongside it. Only if they value feelings as much as forecasts. Only if they understand that success isn't just in numbers, it's in impact. And when they do, they don't just succeed, they redefine what success looks like. The dark sides, when it all falls apart. Let's not sugarcoat it. When the partnership between an Aries snake and a Pisces snake goes off the rails, it doesn't just unravel, it implodes from the inside out. What once looked like a mystical balance of action and emotion, strategy and intuition, suddenly becomes a swirling vortex of unmet expectations, silent resentments, and emotional warfare. Unlike couples who scream and storm out, this pair rarely fights in obvious, outward ways. Their conflicts are psychological, subterranean, and often so layered that even they don't realize how deep the wounds go until they're already bleeding emotionally. The darkness here is not theatrical, it's quiet, creeping, and corrosive. At their worst, Aries Snake becomes the embodiment of unyielding control. Their ambition, once inspiring, morphs into authoritarianism. If they feel their intensity isn't being mirrored or respected, they tighten their grip. This can show up as micromanaging, condescension, or passive dominance, controlling the relationship dynamic without admitting they're doing it. Their words become sharper, their expectations more rigid, and their patience thinner than ice. Aries Snake doesn't always recognize when they're being cruel. They just see themselves as getting things done. But to the Pisces Snake, this energy feels suffocating. It's not just overwhelming, it's dehumanizing. Pisces Snake, who thrives on emotional safety and gentle connection, starts to feel like a pawn in someone else's agenda rather than an equal partner. In response, the Pisces Snake often retreats, not out of weakness, but as a form of quiet rebellion. Unlike Aries, they rarely confront directly. Instead, they drift away into emotional withdrawal, using their imagination or emotional intelligence as a shield. They may stop communicating, stop showing up, or begin creating a secret life inside their mind where Aries no longer has access. This fantasy realm becomes their sanctuary, a place where they're understood, respected, and safe, because in the real world, they no longer feel any of those things. But this escape only widens the gap. Aries feels the growing silence and interprets it as laziness, apathy, or emotional immaturity. Pisces feels even more invalidated. And so the cycle deepens. As things unravel, the emotional manipulation begins, sometimes consciously, sometimes not. Aries Snake, with their sharp tongue and no-nonsense logic, may begin to use criticism as a tool for control. Not in dramatic, loud ways, but in small, cutting remarks designed to push Pisces to be better. What they think is helpful guidance comes off as cold judgment. They want results, they want change, but they forget that real change only happens when someone feels safe enough to grow. Pisces Snake, on the flip side, may weaponize their emotions. They know exactly what words will sting. They know how to guilt trip without raising their voice. They know how to emotionally starve Aries in a way that makes them question everything, without ever having to raise a hand or a tone. It's not revenge in the traditional sense, it's erosion. Slow, subtle, invisible until it's too late. The dark side of this pair isn't always chaos. Sometimes it's numbness. The emotional disconnect becomes so vast that they stop talking, not because they have nothing to say, but because saying anything feels useless. The trust, once so powerful, has collapsed under years of assumptions, unspoken pain, and emotional misfires. Aries Snake, unwilling to show vulnerability, pretends everything's fine and powers through. Pisces Snake, unwilling to be vulnerable and rejected, stops trying entirely. The house becomes quiet, the laughter stops, the eye contact fades. They coexist, but they no longer connect. Power struggles are another shadow that haunts this union. Aries Snake, needing control, may begin to treat Pisces like an employee or sidekick rather than a partner. They'll make all the decisions, ignore input, and steamroll any resistance. Pisces, who hates confrontation but also hates being invisible, might engage in subtle sabotage, undermining plans, withholding effort, or secretly resenting every move Aries makes. Neither says it aloud, but they both feel it. The friendship breaks down, the love goes cold. They're not fighting anymore because they've already emotionally left the building. The worst part? Outsiders may have no idea. This couple can still appear polished, successful, even happy. They've both mastered the art of image. Aries Snake knows how to perform confidence. Pisces Snake knows how to perform harmony. But behind closed doors, the emotional decay is real. The warmth has gone. The fire has turned to ash. They stay together out of habit, duty, or fear, because starting over feels harder than suffering quietly. And yet, even in the darkest chapters of this connection, there is a path out. It's not easy. It requires both partners to do what they fear most. Aries must soften. They must let go of their need to control the narrative and start listening, really listening, not to fix or argue, but to understand. They must develop the courage to be emotionally present, even when it's uncomfortable. Vulnerability is not a weakness here, it's the key. Pisces must rise. They must stop retreating into silence or fantasy and speak their truth, even if it shakes the relationship. They must demand respect, establish boundaries, and trust that their voice has power. Confrontation, when rooted in love, can be healing. It can pull them both back from the edge. Radical honesty is the only antidote, not just about how they feel, but about what they want, what they fear, and what they're willing to change. Emotional accountability must become the foundation. Aries has to ask, am I leading, or am I controlling? Pisces has to ask, am I protecting myself, or avoiding responsibility? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. Without this work, this union becomes a beautiful disaster, a love that once burned with brilliance now reduced to quiet ruins. But with it, with brutal honesty and soul-deep commitment, even the darkest parts can become the soil where something resilient and radiant begins to grow again. The love doesn't have to die. It can be reborn, but only if both are willing to step into the shadow, look each other in the eye, and say, let's not give up. Life goals, different roads, shared dreams. At first glance, the life goals of an Aries Snake and a Pisces Snake might seem like they exist in two completely different realms. Aries Snake is driven by ambition, by the need to leave a tangible legacy, to make their mark on the world in a way that's visible, measurable, and enduring. They often dream in bold strokes, building empires, launching groundbreaking ventures, climbing to the peak of whatever mountain they choose, be it business, politics, art, or leadership. They crave recognition not just for the sake of ego, but because they deeply believe they have something powerful to offer the world, and they want that contribution to be seen, remembered, and respected. Aries Snake thrives on challenge, on momentum, on goals that keep pulling them forward into greater and greater achievements. Pisces Snake, meanwhile, walks a different path, quieter, more internal, and less defined by traditional success metrics. Their dreams are rooted in purpose, in meaning, in connection. They are the type of person who measures a life not by how much noise it made, but by how many hearts it touched. Their goals are more fluid and soul-centered, creating art that moves people, building safe spaces for healing, engaging in work that feels spiritually aligned, and nurturing deep relationships that create emotional legacy rather than financial or social legacy. Pisces Snake isn't afraid of ambition, they just define it differently. For them, success is feeling whole, not just accomplished. They seek transformation, too, but it's the kind that happens in the heart, in the unseen layers of self and soul. It's easy to assume these two worldviews will collide. Aries, with their obsession for forward movement and productivity, might view Pisces' approach as aimless or too soft. Pisces, with their sensitivity to emotional resonance, might see Aries' relentless drive as shallow or even destructive. But here's where the truth gets more interesting. Despite their different styles, both are seeking the exact same thing: transformation. Aries wants to change the world outside them. Pisces wants to change the world inside. Aries wants legacy through impact. Pisces wants legacy through emotional resonance. At their core, they are both builders, one of structures, one of meanings. When they recognize this shared foundation, their life goals begin to complement each other in powerful and unexpected ways. Aries teaches Pisces how to bring their vision into form, how to structure dreams into actionable plans. Pisces teaches Aries how to ensure those actions are aligned with soul, not just ego. Aries provides the engine. Pisces provides the map. Aries says, "Let's go change the world." Pisces says, "Let's make sure it's worth changing." This dynamic, when nurtured with intention and mutual respect, becomes a shared mission, not just a shared life. This mission can take countless forms, because both are creative and adaptable. It could be building a business that doesn't just sell products, but tells a story, supports communities, or inspires transformation. Aries might lead operations and growth while Pisces shapes the vision, brand, and values. Or it could be a work of art, a book, a film, a collaborative project, that combines Aries' drive for execution with Pisces' emotional storytelling. Or perhaps they choose to raise a family, one built not on convention but on intentionality, compassion, and mutual growth. Their home becomes a living testament to their shared dream, a place where both action and emotion, ambition and intuition, are celebrated equally. One of the most powerful life goals they can pursue together is impact that is both external and internal. Aries wants to leave the world different than they found it. Pisces wants to leave people better than they were. When they channel these energies together, they can become agents of conscious change. They might align around causes like mental health, education, creative freedom, or humanitarian work, areas where Aries can lead, build, and mobilize, and where Pisces can connect, feel, and heal. Their partnership has the potential to ripple far beyond their personal story and into the lives of others, not because they're loud, but because they're effective and soulful. That said, alignment doesn't come automatically. If they're not mindful, their differences can cause friction. Aries might grow impatient with Pisces' indecision or spiritual detours. Pisces might feel overwhelmed or devalued by Aries' constant pursuit of progress. Aries may interpret rest as laziness. Pisces may interpret drive as disconnection. Without awareness, these moments become emotional landmines. Aries might start chasing goals alone. Pisces might stop sharing their dreams entirely. The result is emotional distance, a sense of parallel lives rather than a shared journey. To avoid this, they must revisit and renegotiate their shared vision regularly. They must sit down, not just to plan logistics, but to align on purpose. Aries must ask, are we building something that feels right to you? Pisces must ask, are we dreaming big enough for your fire? These conversations ground their connection. They remind each other that even though their methods differ, their desire to create something lasting, something meaningful, is the same. And when one partner starts to drift too far in one direction, whether it's Aries getting caught in burnout, or Pisces getting lost in fantasy, the other becomes the recalibrating force that brings balance. Another powerful element of their shared life journey is growth, not just of accomplishments, but of self. Aries Snake pushes Pisces to become bolder, to trust their instincts and act before everything feels perfect. Pisces pushes Aries to slow down, to reflect before every decision, to connect to something deeper than the finish line. Over time, Aries becomes wiser, more emotionally intelligent, more spiritually grounded. Pisces becomes stronger, more confident, more willing to step into leadership. They don't just help each other reach goals, they help each other become the kind of people who are ready for those goals. Their success, ultimately, isn't just defined by what they achieve, it's in how they evolve. How Aries learns that fulfillment isn't found at the end of a checklist, but in meaningful moments along the way. How Pisces learns that purpose doesn't require waiting for divine timing, it also requires action, risk, and commitment. When they walk this journey together, their differences stop being barriers and start becoming bridges to a fuller life, a deeper connection, and a legacy that is both seen and felt. In the end, Aries Snake and Pisces Snake may walk different roads, but when they walk side by side, those roads begin to merge. What starts as two distinct paths, one blazing through the forest, the other winding along a river, eventually becomes a single trail, one built on fire and water, strategy and soul, action and reflection. And that shared road, though unconventional, leads them not just to success, but to transformation, of each other, and of the world around them. Final thoughts, can they work? So, are Aries Snake and Pisces Snake truly compatible? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. It's more like a slow-burning story, one written in paradoxes and painted in contrast. On the surface, they may seem mismatched. One is fire, the other is water. One charges ahead with fierce ambition, the other flows quietly through emotional depth. One is built for speed, the other for soul. But this is precisely why, when they do work, they create something rare. A relationship that doesn't just survive on shared traits, but thrives on transformation. This is not a connection for the faint of heart. It's for those willing to grow, to stretch, to unlearn and relearn the meaning of partnership. It's not easy, but nothing extraordinary ever is. Aries Snake brings heat, structure, movement, and confidence. They make things happen. They shine in chaos and find direction in uncertainty. Pisces Snake, meanwhile, offers emotional complexity, spiritual wisdom, and soulful insight. They feel what others miss. They are the soft strength, the intuitive guide, the quiet healer. If Aries is the architect, Pisces is the muse. If Aries builds the house, Pisces turns it into a home. On their own, each is impressive. But together, when truly in sync, they can become unstoppable. The power lies not in their sameness, but in how perfectly their differences fit together when both parties are committed to understanding and valuing what the other brings. But compatibility here isn't automatic, it must be earned. It requires self-awareness, emotional maturity, and a deep desire to evolve. Aries Snake must learn to step down from the throne of control and enter the vulnerable space where not everything can be planned or conquered. They must learn the art of stillness, of listening, of presence. Pisces Snake, in turn, must step out of the shadows of hesitation and speak their truth, even when it trembles. They must learn to assert their needs, to stand their ground without retreating into silence or fantasy. Only when both are willing to grow beyond their natural instincts can they truly meet each other in the middle. What makes this union exceptional is its potential to heal and elevate both partners. Aries Snake learns softness, patience, and emotional literacy, qualities that deepen their natural leadership and make their strength more sustainable. Pisces Snake learns courage, confidence, and grounded action, tools that give their dreams a form and their intuition a voice. They don't just complement each other, they catalyze each other. In the presence of Pisces, Aries becomes less reactive and more intentional. In the presence of Aries, Pisces becomes less passive and more empowered. It's a dance between motion and meaning, will and wonder. But when they resist this growth, the relationship can become volatile. Aries may become domineering, emotionally detached, or dismissive of Pisces' feelings. Pisces may become evasive, passive-aggressive, or self-sacrificing to a fault. Their fights won't always be loud, but they will be profound, silent battles of misunderstanding, disappointment, and unmet emotional needs. That's why communication is their lifeline. Not just speaking, but understanding. Not just reacting, but responding with intention. And most of all, not just hearing each other, but choosing to see each other, every day, even when it's hard. It's also important to remember that this relationship isn't meant to be average. It's meant to be evolutionary. Aries Snake and Pisces Snake are not meant to stay the same people they were when they first met. This bond will stretch them, shape them, and sometimes even break them open. But in the breaking, they can discover deeper truths. In the conflict, they can uncover compassion. In the quiet moments, the pauses between words, they may find that this love isn't just about being understood. It's about choosing to understand. Together, they can create a life that's emotionally rich, intellectually stimulating, and spiritually fulfilling. Their home can be a place of vision and vulnerability, of ambition and intuition. Their journey, though filled with sharp edges and deep waters, can ultimately lead them to a form of love that most people never get to experience. A love that doesn't just support who you are, but also who you're becoming. It's not a relationship that offers comfort through similarity. It offers transformation through contrast. So yes, they can work. Not because they fit perfectly on paper, but because they choose each other over and over again, despite the friction, because of the growth. They're not two halves of one whole. They are two powerful forces, whole on their own, choosing to intertwine their paths, not to complete one another, but to expand together. And when that choice is made with open hearts, honest words, and fierce loyalty, there's no storm they can't weather. No dream they can't reach. No limit they can't rise beyond. Their love can be legendary. Their fights, unforgettable. Their potential, infinite. But it all comes down to one question: can they meet each other in the middle, without losing themselves in the process? If the answer is yes, then not even the stars can limit them. Because this is not just compatibility. This is evolution. And when fire and water learn to dance instead of fight, they don't destroy each other. They create steam, mystical, powerful, and full of life. Thanks for diving deep with me into this celestial connection. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore the rest of the channel for more astrological insights, deep dives, and relationship decoding. And check the description for links to social media, where you can share your own Aries plus Pisces Snake stories. Until next time, keep looking up.